Hello there. It has begun. If you want to enter Germany illegally, you only have 6 days left until their borders are closed to newcomers. That EU freedom of movement thing seems to be causing Germany some problems. They've obviously got tired of having too many doctors, nurses, architects and veterinary surgeons. And now they're going to impose border controls around the country, temporarily, for the next 6 months, all in a bid to stop irregular inward migration. How very racist of them, eh? Well, it comes on the heels of the Solingen stabbings in August and other wider crime concerns. But more importantly, it comes after the political threat of the strengthening support for the so-called far-right Alternative for Germany, the AfD. Yes, those recent elections in the eastern German states of Thuringia and Saxony, where the AfD won huge support. And I suspect that has more to do with these new measures than either the stabbings or the rising criminal activity. In fact, without the AfD, I doubt that Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government would have lifted as much as a finger. And now it looks like the AfD will be triumphant in the Brandenburg state elections on September the 22nd in 12 days' time. The AfD came second there in 2019 with 23 seats behind the 25 seats the German Social Democratic Party, the SPD, won. Proving that democracy does indeed have power, if the people decide they want real change. A salutary lesson for us Brits for any upcoming by-elections or local elections. Once the UK establishment sees full-on rejection of the lib-lab-con-green woke-left agenda, we could start to see some movement away from the UK-destroying policies we've observed for the last few decades. But it will mean long-term Labour and Tory voters opting for a new choice to break the choking grip of the establishment uniparty system. Anyway, I wonder what steps the UK government will be taking to try and prevent those looking for a new home in Europe deciding to avoid Germany and so head for a French beach and avail themselves of the use of the rubber boat RNLI Border Force taxi service into the UK. Knowing our government, they'll be putting ads on German TV and radio telling them what they can get for free here. But in Germany, we are strengthening our security through concrete action, and we are continuing our tough stance against irregular migration, said Nancy Faeser, the German Interior Minister. Until we achieve strong protection of the EU's external borders, we must control our national borders even more closely. These controls also enable effective rejections. This serves to further limit illegal migration and to protect against the acute dangers of Islamist terror. But this still has to be accepted by the German Parliament, of course, although I don't see much of a problem with that. But their EU member state neighbours will not be happy about it. For example, the Austrian Interior Minister Gerhard Kahner said that pushbacks would not be accepted. There's no room for manoeuvre there. It's the law. I have directed the head of the federal police to not allow any returns. Austria will therefore not accept any persons rejected from Germany, Kahner told Germany's Bild news source. Interesting, and good to see the usual EU solidarity at play, isn't it? And the Germans protecting the sanctity of the hallowed Schengen area. I wonder where those people rejected by Germany will end up then. In a tented village on the German-Austrian border, maybe? Well, they'll only have to wait there for 6 months until Germany is forced by the EU to dismantle their temporary border controls. The German government has informed the EU Commission that as far as they are concerned, these measures are justified because of the persistently high overall burden on Germany and for the protection of internal security against the current threats of Islamist terrorism and cross-border crime. Now, the right-wing opposition in Germany wants to see all undocumented travellers and asylum seekers who are already registered in another EU country turned away at the border, with the Christian Democratic Union leader Friedrich Merz saying that if Scholz wants his party's support, then the government must turn people away at the German borders. Something that will certainly put neighbouring EU member states' backs up and also prove to be quite a headache for Brussels. For completeness, Germany put in place partial border controls with Poland, the Czech Republic and Switzerland back in December and has successfully turned away 30,000 people. But now, says the Times, they want border controls with France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium and Denmark. And it also looks like Austria will also find German border guards operating on their border with Germany. That would be all 9 bordering states. Fortress Germany. Now in 2023, the EU commissars reported that at over 260,000, Germany had the most illegal non-EU people in the bloc. And interestingly, the EU refers to them as illegal non-EU citizens, where the Britannica Dictionary defines a citizen as a person who legally belongs to a country and has the rights and protection of that country. Sort of tells you that the Brussels bureaucrats believe they are in the EU legally and therefore must be given everything they need. Exposes the real aim, doesn't it? No wonder that Breitbart reports that Hungary said it will bus illegal migrants to the European Union capital of Brussels if the bloc attempts to force Budapest into accepting supposed asylum seekers who broke into other EU nations. That's it. Drop the problem directly into the lap of the Eurocrats. And further, Dutch politician Geert Wilders has called for his country to be granted an opt-out of any EU-wide immigration policies. An opt-out like Denmark has already been offered. This pushback is really building up a head of steam, isn't it? Now, that number of 260,000 living illegally in Germany is, of course, the ones they know about. And the figures from 2023 also indicate that they are illegally entering Germany at the average rate of about 10,000 a month. So the next 6 days would equate to about 2,000 illegals successfully breaching the German borders. But I bet there's a bit of a rush on now, don't you? Now, according to Migration Watch, in 2024 we in the UK have seen 22,440 rubber boat arrivals in the year to the end of September. That equates to about 490 every 6 days, or 2,500 a month. Just a quarter of the German problem, but they only have to walk across a border to get into Germany. To get into the UK, they need to fork out huge amounts of money and clamber into a dangerous rubber boat. I dread to think what would be happening were we to have a full-on land border with a number of different countries. And remember, the rubber boats are not the only source of illegal migration into the UK. Just from the anecdotes I've seen and heard, they can just about wander in through any air or seaport they like anyway. Successive UK uniparty establishment governments have certainly turned this country into a nation of mugs, haven't they? And they have no intention of listening to the voters, only dictating to them.